Tonight on Joynews Prime, first day of voters' registration exercise and characterized by disregard for social distancing and wearing of face mask protocols. Well, we'll take you across the country for updates.
7 a.m. and it's getting to 9. We are still here. No seat for us to sit on it. And you haven't tell us anything. It's better you come out to tell us what to do.
And by observation, the Ghana Medical Association is also worried and says the Electoral Commission chairperson should be held responsible and accountable by the state for disregard for or non-enforcement of COVID-19 preventive measures. Commercial drivers in Sekondi Takoradi Metropolis of the Western region say social distancing in vehicles is making them poor.
The price of fuel is going up. We are taking the old fare. So we want the president to do something. If not, we are running to lose. From here to Accra, you reach Accra, it remains on your hand. 140 Ghana cedis.
Well, as a result, they decided to embark on a sit-down strike to register their displeasure to government. In business, as 10,000 final year junior high school students of some 92 schools in Kumasi resume from the COVID-19 break to prepare for the examinations, we also do have some headmasters and mistresses worried that the unavailability of PPEs could lead to a spike in the number of positive COVID-19 cases.
We are disturbed, honestly. So we are making an effort. Tomorrow morning we will have it.
How disturbed are you?
Well, somebody may have bad days, some temperature high, and we don't know. So we are praying against anything like that.
And we have business.
Yes, and in business, we will be going to the central region where the Ghana Revenue Authority has clamped down on an unlicensed Chinese factory recycling cartons of government textbooks into toilet rolls.
State-funded textbook is being used by an individual or group of individuals under the guise of doing business. We don't want that kind of business to be done at the expense of the state. Therefore, the law must take its course.
Oh, we have these and other updates. My name is Roland Walker. We now bring you the details. Meanwhile, you can also join us right here because we're bringing to you this great bulletin live here from our studios here at Kokomemle on digital address GA0992535, also on digital terrestrial television because we're also free to air. The bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Please stay tuned. Our first story, voter registration exercise in the Ododo-Diodio constituency right here in Accra delayed for about 5 hours after disagreement between Electoral Commission registration officials and representatives of the political parties present over at some of these centers in the constituency were excluded from the exercise. Now, we also do know that social distancing and all coronavirus protocols were disregarded as persons who had come in to register stood in long winding queues for hours. Some of them also were without masks. Matula Baba was in the constituency and brings us this report.
Disagreement and confusion. Woman who was hurling invectives at registration officials for the delay in the registration was nearly attacked by one of the residents. A resident of Jamestown, Mavis, recently survived an accident. She now walks with the help of a crutch, but she's here determined to register.
I had an accident.
You had an accident?
Yeah.
Okay. And you came here to register?
Because I'm a Ghanaian, so I have to register. Yeah, I'm very, very confused because yesterday they said the boys was making routes here. That's why they haven't started the thing. So we have to wait. They have to arrange everything nicely so that they will start the thing.
75-year-old Isaac Mensah has also been standing here for the past 5 hours.
The start is very poor because they're supposed to start at 7 a.m. and it's getting to 9. We are still here. No seat for us to sit on it. And you haven't tell us anything. It's better you come out to tell us what to do. Either we go and come in the afternoon or because they are wasting our time. Look here, let me tell you. I'm a Gold Coast man. Okay. I was born in 1945. And we know a birth certificate. Because we use birth certificate to acquire the Ghana card you're talking about. And now we are not using birth certificate. Most of the people here have got birth certificate.
Nyakaka ni nyankwa wabatola meko mana meko mani mejiwo wabatola ke jalebi manke 5 o'clock ni watala mi ni wampi nyakwa bo nyakwa chakana ke jenye wo helalo awo hela ka don't afio.
Like in the coronavirus cases, and that's the concern she's raising, that the registration has not started, and they've been seated here for so long, and they've been compelled to sit together, here.
According to some representatives of the political parties, a decision by the EC registration officials to exclude some widely publicized registration centers caused the disagreement. Behind me are the registration materials ready to be deployed. I've been speaking to the commander of the ministry's police station, Chief Superintendent Asebunzo. He was in that meeting trying to resolve the disagreement between the political parties. He says they are ready and alert to call any violence that may erupt here.
The discussion had to do with some confusion that arose as a result of the review of the registration centers by the Electoral Commission. I think it was a bit different from what had been gazetted, and so it created a bit of confusion. But then after the meeting, it has been resolved. All the stakeholders have really understood what has happened, and they've all given the green light for the registration to start. We have had enough deployment of personnel here. As you can see, there are others that you can't see, and we hope that that will be enough to contain any issue that may crop up. But we are hoping we have done a lot of education and sensitization, and we hope it will work. We are not expecting any trouble today, but if it does arise, we are ready to handle it.
I have also been speaking to the NPP constituency chairman, Sat Raymond Tete. He was also part of that meeting and has been talking to me about what caused the delay in the registration in this constituency.
This gazetted centers scheduled for the registration. Yesterday, when my party representatives came to the DIPAC meeting, we realized that the Electoral Commission is using centers different from the gazetted ones. Yesterday, my people pushed at the DIPAC meeting that the gazetted one should be used, but I think it was not agreed to.
Social distancing and all the safety protocol were disregarded. Some of the residents have been justifying their actions.
Distance that we are talking, as of now, the program now started. That's why we are organizing ourselves together. So after that, we let the social distance should be.
Well, straight away, we take you to northern Ghana and to the Upper East region, where voter registration has also been generally smooth in the regional capital, Bolga, but the issue of spacing to maintain social distancing between the applicants queuing to register also remain a challenge, just like with experience in many areas across the country. So we have joining us on Zoom, Albert Sorry is our main correspondent from the region. And Albert, if we are now getting these observations, even the Ghana Medical Association observing all these, it means that there still would be these reactions, mixed ones of observations from the region. Is that so?
Exactly. One of the things that I realized in my rounds was that the Ghana card mop-up exercise is also going on at the moment. And so there are some registration centers that were also located close to where they were doing the Ghana card registration. So you find so many people who gather at the place at the same time. Now, it's like a lot of people, especially where they were doing the Ghana card, needed to get their registration done as soon as possible before the mop-up exercise closes. Then once they do that and they want to leave, they just decide to take advantage of the voter registration also going on to join the queue. So then you now have a situation where so many people are almost clamoring to get themselves onto either the voters register or the Ghana card register. So this was one of the things. Now, in one of the polling stations, the one you are, the registration center, sorry, the one you are seeing on the screen, that is the Adabasi Primary Registration Center. When I initially arrived, most of the people who were lined up to register didn't have places to sit. So there wasn't an organized way of doing things. Everybody who came wanted to quickly join the queue. So what it then meant was that if anybody created a space because of trying to maintain social distancing, if you don't watch, somebody will come and join the queue in front of you because of the space you have created there. So even when, in some instances, when the security people were trying to get people to maintain the social distancing, a lot of people didn't want to leave a gap because they were afraid somebody was going to come and join the queue in front of them. So this was one of the things. And in most of the registration centers, this was the situation. So you would find that the health personnel who were also there to check people's temperature would just go ahead anyway to try and check their temperature while they were in the queue in the crowded situation like that. So this was the general situation. But the registration itself, in terms of people doing it and getting their ID card, there weren't any issues at all. People would normally go through smoothly. But the problem just had to do with maintaining the distancing because of the coronavirus situation.
I know you did mention about health personnel perhaps present at some of these centers to check temperatures, etc. We noticed since we started covering this the early part of the morning that the health personnel, and indeed the Electoral Commission had promised about 7,000 of them to be dispatched or deployed to some of these centers. Were they health personnel or they are officials of the commission, as in officers?
In the Adabasi polling registration center, which I earlier talked about, I saw that the person who was checking was wearing the nurse's uniform. In one of the other places, that is experimental primary, the person wasn't wearing a uniform. But because of the nature of the crowd, they don't even pay attention when you want to grant an interview as a journalist, because there was so much, sort of confusion because people are trying to maintain their place in the queue and all of that, and the health personnel are still trying to get them checked. So I couldn't find out whether this other person was a Ghana Health Service personnel. But I did see in one of the registration centers a nurse who was wearing the green and white uniform, and she was checking people for their temperature, etc.
Well, thank you, Albert. Sorry, our main man monitoring events, the registration that is ongoing for voters, and he's stationed in Bolga and its environs, monitoring the situation for us in the Upper East region. Thank you very much, Albert. Sorry. It's when we have to take you to the Ashanti region, because we did have some interaction with officials of the Electoral Commission, and they said that they were happy about the turnout for the opening day of the voters registration exercise, especially in the first constituency that we visited, Ejuso. Municipal Electoral Officer Edward Jamfi observed that applicants had also comported themselves. Ohiminteria has more in the following report.
14 registration centers in 4 communities in the constituency are being covered in phase 1 of the exercise. Some residents of Menchia, Besianse, Jamase and Bonwe woke up at dawn to join queues for the exercise, which kick-started today. Rashid Abdusalam spent hours at the registration center before the process began.
4 o'clock, but that time we do one nti ma yɛsan akɔda ɛbɔ bɛ 5:30 ne yɛsan bae wohu sɛ Ghana card sɛ yɛyɛ no we say no so no nya afei na like something like praising and I say ebia obia yɛ na ama we da afei ne yɛbɛyɛ no foforɔ ya cancel first one no afei ne yɛbɛyɛ no foforɔ nti da yɛayɛ adu sɛ onipa bɛba hapa bebree ɛti na ma yɛba ha that time ma nya bɛ 5 minutes where edumi so na nya bɛ 5 minutes where na bia ɔmo wie bia process bia ma
at Besiansi, Minister in charge of the Aprade Presbyterian Church, Reverend Dr. Godfred Odelati and his wife were among early registrants. While expressing satisfaction at the arrangement so far, he encourages residents to massively patronize the exercise.
As a minister of God, I notice there's a responsibility of every citizen to play his role well in a country. In fact, the Bible enjoins us to be subject to the authorities of the land. And I want to be seen to play my role subject to the authorities of the land. So I've come to play my role. I think this is a good thing that the government has done. This is a good thing, and I'm happy to do it. I have been very amazed and impressed with the way the Electoral Commission has arranged this place. The arrangement was very good. So they directed me where to go. And I was quite impressed. The seating arrangements and everything, to me, was perfect. And I have been impressed. I have really been impressed. If somebody is sitting at home, I'll tell the person that you shouldn't be afraid at all. Just take a bold step, come out, and when you get there, you'll be told what to do. The lines are not too long. Another thing that impressed me, I noticed that they have increased the number of places. That making things far easier, because now we don't have very long lines.
Electoral officials are happy at the turnout and comportment of will-be voters at the centers. Edward Jemfi is the municipal electoral officer for Ejiso.
Registration is going on. The COVID protocols are being observed, and all the people that have met at the various centers wearing their face masks, being sanitized, they are washing their hands, and in fact, all the arrangement that we put in place from the centers that I've been to, I've seen that everything is going on. And then people are also queuing to get their names into the voters' roll. As you can see, these are new equipment and they work very fast. So for now, we've not encountered any such item. I will not be able to give you specific projections, but all that we are expecting is that every Ghanaian who is qualified by law should be able to register at the end of the exercise.
From Ejiso for Joy News, Oymintiria reporting.
And while our correspondent were on ground, we also had CODEO, that's the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, also monitoring the situation, as well as other civil society organizations. But we did intercept a letter by Joynews, and it's from the Ghana Medical Association expressing worry about fears of community spread of coronavirus, especially as many candidates for the voter ID cards or applicants for the voter ID card disregard social distancing and wearing of face masks as they go to register. Now, the letter addressed to the Electoral Commission, according to the GM, it says that the Electoral Commission chairperson and other members of the body should be ultimately held responsible and accountable by the state for any wanton disregard for or non-enforcement of COVID-19 preventive measures at any voter registration center. Now, it also indicates, which is in 7 pointers, that COVID-19 is real and the country is currently experiencing significant community spread. We should indicate, these are coming from medical doctors, that the Electoral Commission has an obligation to ensure that all appropriate COVID-19 preventive etiquettes, such as social distancing, the wearing of face masks, use of alcohol-based sanitizers, as well as the washing of hands with soap and running water, etc., are observed at all times during the registration exercise. It also continues on point 3 that the Electoral Commission should ensure that all persons at various centers adhere strictly to all COVID-19 preventive protocols. It adds that the security agencies, especially the Ghana Police Service, should also enforce all these preventive protocols at various centers without fear or favor. And there should be swift prosecution of persons, including the EC staff, officials, commissioners, voter ID card applicants, observers, and political party agents who may be responsible for any breaches of any COVID-19 preventive protocols. And just before we subsequently look at this further, the EC must also, according to the statement, ensure that all the needed preventive equipment that are needed, PPEs, are available for use at all times by the officials. And this one is very significant. Point 7, it says the EC chairperson and other members of the commission should be ultimately held responsible and accountable by the state for any disregard for the enforcement of the COVID-19 preventive measures. And this is signed by the president of the GMA, Dr. Frank Ankobia, and then Dr. Justice Yankson, the General Secretary. And it's where we have to delve into this subject further, because Dr. Justice Yankson did sign that statement as well, alongside the president. We have his deputy, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo. And good evening, and thank you for joining us. It looks like you already had fears before this began, and by your observations, it doesn't look good on the ground, does it?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Indeed, we have concerns. For us as a medical body, our major concern is that, yes, this is a legitimate exercise as has been approved by the Supreme Court of Ghana. However, it also serves as a ground on which there could be increased community spread. And therefore, we decided to caution the EC. I should state emphatically that this was a private letter we sent to the EC way back as Friday, prior to the start of the event today. And we had hoped that the EC would take heed to this and implement same so that we will all be safe. Because what we are seeing in the hospitals suggests that we are not out of the woods at all. And so EC and anybody who organizes public activities like this must adhere to the laws that we have put in place.
Since you're medical people, you ultimately have fears that the cases could spike. And what we saw on the ground, and based on your observations, there was wanton disregard, as in point 7 of your statement, for these preventive protocols. What then do...
Indeed, and we have...
Please go on, Dr. Bayo.
No, I think you were saying something. Let me hear you.
So I also wanted to add, what then do we do with the current state of things as noticed in the first day?
All right, so I think the EC still has opportunity to make amends. And in our statement, we cautioned that any activity that puts the life of Ghanaians at risk and result in larger outbreaks of this condition, endangering the lives of Ghanaians, the EC should be held liable. And the EC here would mean the commissioner and all her commissioners and other officials there must be held personally responsible for any breaches in the EI that has been passed that result in danger to lives of Ghanaians. And for what we are seeing, indeed, we can see, and we have done some of our own monitoring, and a lot of people are not respecting the law. What is the use of passing a law and people not obeying it? And at official state events or national events, people not obeying this law, which by medical science, if not obeyed, really puts all of us at risk. So we think the EC must be up and doing, the law enforcement agencies must be up and doing, but the ultimate responsibility is on the Electoral Commission because they are the convener of this activity or this exercise. Therefore, all other agencies are only assisting them. So they must come clean with the implementation of the executive instrument with regards to our public prevention.
Well, Dr. Titus Bayo, please hold on there because I do have also on the line Dr. Sribo Kwaku. He's Director of Electoral Services, the Electoral Commission. And looking at some of these observations, it is good that some of these things are being pointed out. Wouldn't you say, Dr. Sribo Kwaku?
Yeah, first, my regards to you and your listeners and viewers. We appreciate the fact that there were some few breaches with respect to the safety protocols. But as in a mass exercise like this, some people were very recalcitrant. And going from today, we have realized what the things that we have to do to ensure that everybody is compelled to observe the protocols. But I want to say that it should be a responsibility of all of us, not the Electoral Commission alone. We all need to encourage people to wear their mask, ensure the safety, social distances, and washing of the hands and others. So tomorrow we are going to expand our views about people who come there to register. But all of us should help us and help Ghana to observe the protocols.
Dr. Kwaku, there's a significant commendation that many of the observers, including the political parties, have made, that it looks like the services of registration actually were smooth in its entirety, but it's the enforcement of the protocols. How do we intend enforcing them beyond saying that it is everybody's game?
Yeah, so we need to educate the people. I think going forward tomorrow, once in a while, our officers will be talking to them and addressing them. But normally, if you are overwhelmed by the marches, you tend to concentrate more on the demarcated areas. But some people join the queues outside the demarcated areas, and that's where in most cases the breaches occur. So we need to be paying attention to all those things.
Well, Dr. Bayo, any perhaps advice or some observation you would want to make going forward beyond your statement you will want to give the Director of Electoral Services as we move forward?
Yeah, so I think the advice would be that indeed he says it's all of us our responsibility. We agree. Personal responsibility must be taken, but we all know that the convener of this exercise is the Electoral Commission. And if they begin to enforce the rules, people will obey the rules. So I would advise the EC that at all registration centers, people who disregard blatantly the rules should not be allowed to continue the process. People who come to the centers without masks should be asked to go back home. People who breach the social distancing protocol, if the EC has made this arrangement, should be made to leave the premises, so that people will realize that we are doing serious business here and do not endanger the lives of the EC officials and other Ghanaians who come there to register. And I'm sure when these things begin, and we should see some arrests actually, because it is law. And so if somebody comes there, breaches these things, and they are arrested and prosecuted, people will realize that this is serious and they will take the necessary actions to protect the lives of every other Ghanaian who comes out to register.
Dr. Kwaku, any lessons that we can take forward for tomorrow?
I think it's the very thing that we are talking about. So tomorrow we need to try to be a bit hard on those who will not observe the protocols. But to the best of my knowledge, all those who entered the market areas were in masks, because you cannot come to the office without mask and be registered. But most of the issues were with respect to the social distancing. So tomorrow we are going to encourage our officers and the voters themselves to all try to observe their protocols.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Srebo Kwaku is Director of Electoral Services, Electoral Commission, helping us look at the subject in detail of the observations made not only by reporters, but also a number of the political parties, CODEO as well. And then we do have Dr. Titus Bayo, Deputy General Secretary of the GMA, the Ghana Medical Association. Thank you very much, Dr. Bayo, as well. But it's when we have to take a break. When we do come back, we'll bring you more right here on Prime. Well, welcome back from the break. Of course, just around me we have Sandra. Beautiful Sandra, what do you have for us for business?
Hello, handsome Roland. You have a lot of business tonight. How are you doing?
Chala, they good. You know, pressure upon pressure. We did do the job.
God day we did.
Allah.
My name is Sandra Esinama, and I'm calling from Home Let's Do Business. And we begin tonight on a rather unfortunate note where the tax enforcement unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority has clamped down on an unlicensed Chinese factory, Everyday Manufacturing Limited, located at the Owutu-Senya constituency in the Central Region. Operators are accused of illegally diverting cartons of government textbooks and recycling them into toilet rolls. So far, the manager, salesman, and a Ghanaian interpreter have been picked up by the CID. Charles Aite was with the task force and our reports.
Managers of this Chinese facility initially locked their gates to the task force after getting word of the exercise. Security personnel had to jump over the gates to get access. Upon entering, the task force was met with piles of shredded paper left to rot at the mercy of the weather. These shredded papers are from thousands of government-funded textbooks for senior high schools. Henry Ranford Mensah is the head of the GRA Task Force unit to this facility.
These are copies of the exercise books. They were supplied by somebody for security reasons, we wouldn't be able to name or mention. They were supplied to these entities. That is Everyday Tissue Company Limited. That is the company that received these supplies. But you agree with me, if you want raw materials, why wouldn't you go out or import some if you don't have the raw materials? But a state-funded textbook is being used by an individual or group of individuals under the guise of doing business. We don't want that kind of business to be done at the expense of the state. Therefore, the law must take its course.
This is also home for the Chinese operators. They are part of a syndicate which diverts containers of textbooks to this facility to be recycled for the production of toilet rolls. Officials of the task force, together with the CID officials, conducted a search of their rooms. This was to take stock of the business records.
How many times a week? How many tracks they are on deliver?
Three months. 1 week, and I said 2 years. And different man because of Baku farm.
So he's a worker here, and he's been working here for the past 3 months now. And I've been finding out from him, the supply chain, the kind of companies that supply most of these textbooks that are not for sale in actual terms. And what he says is that he cannot really put, a track on the number of times that most of these trucks come deliver the textbooks to them. Sometimes he says between 3 to at least 4 weeks, or sometimes 3 months, they could deliver most of these things. But he's not really sure where these books are coming from, the company that supplies this particular place, the books, and where they are even coming from.
Just at the outskirts of the Everyday Manufacturing Limited, we found heaps of locked trunks of forest trees. Joy Business gathers these trunks are provided by some residents at a cost, a violation of Ghana's logging regulations.
What we are going to do is that we are going to cost these items, these books, and then weigh it against other records that we would peruse. We will look at the bank statement, we will look at the electricity bill, we will look at the cost of these bills and put them together and have an idea of the cost. And once you are into manufacturing, it is your input that will determine your output. The Commissioner General would use his best judgment in assessing them. We didn't find any tangible record. Section 27 of the Revenue Administration Act mandates businesses to keep and maintain proper records. We did not have any books of accounts, any sales record to lean on. Section 41 of the Value Added Tax Act also indicates that in making taxable supplies, the supplier or the manufacturer is supposed to issue a VAT invoice prescribed by the Commissioner General. We noticed that they were using some papers, sheets of papers, in lieu of the Commissioner General's inquest, and that is contrary to the law. So in addition to the destruction of state property, which the police will handle, the Ghana Revenue Authority will move in to assess them. Any tax shortfall would face a penalty of 75% as penalty.
The clampdown of Everyday Manufacturing Limited is part of a series of distress actions being undertaken by the Ghana Revenue Authority against tax defaulters and evaders. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
Wow, quite an unfortunate development out there. Away from that, the IMF is projecting serious economic slowdown for Ghana by the end of this year. The fund is in its latest regional outlook report is forecasting a 1.5% growth rate for the economy. Meanwhile, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, has been painting a picture of the economic impact.
To say that, as you're aware, the COVID-19 pandemic is a global pandemic. This is unprecedented. It's not like anything that we have seen before. At the global level, this is a shock that is worse than what we are told happened in the 1930s. So this is something that we haven't seen in recent memory. In terms of the impact on Ghana, I think we would need to have some more observations to really understand the full impact of the pandemic. In Ghana, we have had some very bad economic history. If you remember, prior to the structural adjustment program in 1986, 1987, the Ghanaian economy was really very bad, almost stagnated. And I don't think we are there yet. The initial economic indicators that we have looked at for the first quarter of this year, some of these indicators came in relatively strongly. If you look at the exports of gold, even the exports of cocoa has been relatively strong. Oil prices have declined sharply. So we do have some strong points and some relatively weak points. If you look at private sector's contribution to social security, you also get a sense of the impact on employment back in Ghana. And we are projecting that we would see GDP growth decline, from an original estimation of over 7% to 2%. So it's a significant revision for the outlook on growth. Now, in terms of employment, some of the information that we seem to be getting, especially for businesses that are in the tourism and hospitality management services and educational sectors, these have been impacted significantly. Some workers have been laid off. In other cases, workers have been sent on paid leave in order to manage, the impact of the COVID. So yes, the impact for 2020 will be significant. We know that depending on how the disease progresses, that would also change the forecast, and it's very fluid.
Sure, Roland, that will be all for the first part of business. Certainly, I'll be back after 8 p.m. We'll be having more discussion. But what do you make of that development in the central region, where textbooks for pupils are being turned into recycled for toilet rolls?
Yeah, very surprising. And we do know that if indeed as a country we say we want to put a center stage the subject of education, then we should adequately be monitoring some of these incidents. Very surprising.
And they should be punished for their actions, right?
I do agree with you. And that's Sandra.
Yeah,
with the
I'll be
latest.
back after 8 p.m. with more.
Oh, thank you, Sandra. We will be waiting. But that's where we also take a break. And when we come back, we focus more specifically on the subject of COVID-19. Do stay on. We'll be right back. Well, for all the regular updates in the world of sports, we do have Ben, as well as Reku on stream, and Benedict also. How are you?
Hi. So there's a big story tonight. That's why the two of us are actually here, Roland. And it has to do with the Ghana Football Association. Now, there had been months of deliberation. And today was the deadline set by Keto Kweku. And after hours of deliberation, the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association have unanimously voted for the cancellation of the 2019-2020 Ghana Premier League season. And I'm here with Benedict Owusu of Joy Sports to try and understand what the impact of this decision might be. Now, first off, Benedict, the meeting was supposed to take 3 hours actually, but ended up taking over 5 hours or so. Why do you think the decision took so long?
Well, I understand that it took 7 hours to reach that decision. Before this, before we got here, they made it clear that in terms of the decision they were going to take as to the direction of the football season, whether to continue or discontinue, was going to be based on their interaction with other stakeholders. And of course, we're talking about government, media, as well as sponsors. So, and the major parts of this is government. If the government, had mentioned, if Nana Akufo-Addo, the president, had mentioned that he had lifted, restrictions on football activities, and then football contact sports could have resumed. What this would have meant was that the Football Association would have gone ahead with the Premier League, and there was not going to be any two ways about it. But because now there is no end in sight in terms of when we're going to lift that restriction of contact sports from resuming. That's why I understand that it kept that long in deciding on the fate of the season as to whether it will go on or not. And in terms of the meeting, other things were looked at. Sponsorship were looked at, issues of money, and also the welfare of the club. So that's how come it took that long.
Speaking of money, there would be some huge money lost, especially from the sponsorship from the TV right owners, that Star Times and then MTN as well sponsoring the FA Cup. Looking at it from that point of view, what do you think the impact of this decision would be financially and also from a sporting point of view?
I mean, it's huge. If you're a Star Times and you came in to sponsor the Premier League for this term and you're not getting what you wish for. If you're an MTN and you came in to sponsor the MTN FA Cup, you're not gonna get what you wish for. Of course, you definitely will be worried. And as much as the FA will be worried, remember before this, Keto Kweku mentioned some time back that they were looking at the sponsorship, how much people have invested in the game, and that will be based on whichever decision that they were going to take. And for him, he was even looking at not canceling the league, but as I mentioned earlier, things beyond them have stated, this decision to be taken. So it's really going to be huge on them in terms of the losses. But I mean, with the season definitely going to come back after, everything, they can make amendments in whatever, deal that they sign with these companies. And I'm sure they can get something out of it.
Okay, quickly before we wrap up, there have been whispers around that the GFA is aiming to restart the season in September. Does that make this decision to cancel a blessing in disguise that we can now realign the Ghana Premier League with CAF's calendar?
Perfect. I think that it helps the federation. In this corona period, everything that has happened, we have to look at the positive side. And in looking at the positive side, I think that one key thing that we can pick from this is the major leagues, and not just about CAF, the major leagues currently ongoing, some are done, Germany is done, and we have the English Premier League gradually wrapping up, the Spanish La Liga also will be wrapping up soon, as well as the Serie A. And when all these teams, all these countries wrap up their leagues, what's going to happen is there'll be a transfer window where they'll go for preseason and then start. Now we can also, look at our situation, and for something that we've always been calling for, something that we've always been, clamoring that we want our season or want our calendar to be just as that of the European season and that of some of the African countries. I think that this is a perfect time. This is a very good opportunity for us to do that. So for me, I think it's a blessing in disguise.
All right, thank you very much, Benedict. We'll certainly be doing more analysis later on this issue, especially tomorrow. But that would be all. In terms of what we do have for you for the first part of the sports segment, do watch out for the second part, as there was another big meeting in Africa, this time by the Confederations of African Football, and I'll be bringing you the major takeaways from that as well. But my name is Oreko Wampofo, and it's bye-bye for now.
Well, Benedict and Oreko, that was a good one. I'll make sure that I lobby my producer for the AM show, Derek Ekosam, so that we have this as a great topic to discuss tomorrow. I'm sure the two of you are in for it, so we'll have some great time tomorrow. Yeah. Well, that's a good one. We all love football, don't we? But well, we're in for showbiz, and Becky's here.
Hello
showbiz
to you,
lady.
the morning guy.
Charlie, not easy.
Charlie, serious. So
trendy. It's a cropping polo.
Yeah, obviously, cropping polo has been trending, and she not too long ago she spoke on Xylophone FM. She says that the picture she took that has been trending, and everybody have been talking about it, wasn't too nude. She wasn't like very, very naked.
And that's a picture with his son, with her son.
Yes, with her son. It's actually.
And they were naked, actually.
They were. She said that she wasn't really, in an interview on Xylophone FM, she said her private parts were covered, but it is not visible in the photos. So that was what she said. But Roland, quickly, we've been joined by Frida Prempe. She's a Deputy Gender and Social Protection Minister, and we've been joined by her. Hello to you, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you. We hope you're doing well.
I'm doing fine. I hope you've registered already.
Yes. And have you seen the sad picture that has been trending?
Yes, I have. A lot of people posted it to me.
Okay.
And my director for Children's Department also posted it to me. A few other friends have posted it.
Okay. And as a Deputy Gender Minister, are you concerned about this particular picture?
I must say I'm very much concerned, because the rights of that child needs to be protected. We have the Children's Act 560 that protects the child. And it talks about the rights of the child and responsibilities of the parent. Parental guidance is also part of the Children's Act 560. So I think that that young lady did not do well. She didn't protect her child. She exposed her child. And she cannot run away from the fact that that's a nude picture. And it looks like somebody wants to do some sort of pornography. And there are laws in this country that talks about pornography and protection of our children. So I think that the young lady did not do things right. And pornographic images is against the laws of this country. And I think that such images usually shared on social media, especially where that child is involved, is not the right thing for her to have done at all.
Madam Frida, are you going to take it up? What would you do about this particular, or what would your outfits do about this particular picture?
Let me say we've started even working on it already. When I had the poster, I also posted it back to management and to a director for children, social welfare and all that. And I'm happy that the CID has also invited her for interrogation tomorrow. And I think that she's going to be held under the Criminal and Other Offences Act. And for the child, she can be brought under the Children's Act 560, like I said already, 6A. And we can also use the Electronic Transaction Act 2008 also against it, even the Data Protection Act, because that child has a right. So the ministry is definitely going to follow up on this issue. And I think the laws of this land must be adhered to. We have to make sure that we don't set any bad precedent. I don't think this is good enough at all, especially for this growing up young boy. And from the way I saw the picture, it tells me that this might not even be the first time. Probably something she's been doing, but unfortunately this one went viral.
Yeah.
So once she's exposed that young child, the laws of this land will definitely catch up on her. And I'm hoping that the CID will go through with her on this particular issue. We've had too many of such things on social media. And I think it's about time that we make sure that the law works for the first time on some of these issues.
Thank you very much. We're grateful for your time. Roland, do you have anything to ask the minister before she goes?
Roland Walker.
Yes, Mom. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the days when you were an assemblywoman. We used to work. Now you're a deputy minister. You're a big woman now.
Oh, you too. You're a big man.
On TV. Only on TV.
Roland, I thought you know why I'm very sad about this whole thing. No, first images like this go viral. Usually shared via social media, and it remains online permanently. And sometimes the next 10, 20, 15 years, if this young boy grows up to become somebody and he's even going to look for a job somewhere, who knows? Who will pull something out of this?
Yeah. So would you say that your ministry then will try and embark on the related issues of cyber education in terms of what is posted and what is not posted by some of these celebrities that we have?
Definitely, we're going to do that. We've already had some program with the Ministry of Communication, working in collaboration with the cyber crime, especially on child protection. So definitely we are going to follow up on this particular issue to serve as a deterrent to other young people who think that once they bring somebody out into this world, nobody else can talk about them. That's not good enough. We have to protect the child. That's why the Act 560 is there to talk about the rights and responsibilities of parents. And I don't think that we are going to go down or leave this thing at all. We go straight on with her. And I'm happy that the CID has invited her tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much, Frida Prempeh, and is a deputy minister. Yes. So rightly, how she decided to put it is the way the ministry wants to go about it.
Yeah, but.
Well, we're back. So we have to focus our attention on some mainstream education issues. And there was a sharp contrast between one private school and a public one at Bolga in the Upper East region as final year students returned to school. Now, while pupils of the Great Victory Academy, the private school, were provided face masks and hand washing facilities by their school authorities, their counterpart at the Kalbio Timbosombolego Junior High School, a public school located in the same area, did not have face masks nor access to hand washing facilities. Now, correspondent Albert Sori visited the two schools and our reports.
Decided to look at one community where access to water has always been a challenge, and that is the Tindosobligo community. I decided to compare two of the schools located in that area. That is the Great Victory Academy School, which is a private school, and then the Kalbion Tindosobligo Basic School, which is a public school, just to see the difference in terms of what authorities are doing to keep the children safe as they return to school in the wake of this coronavirus pandemic. Now, at the Great Victory Academy, which is the private school, the authorities there have managed to provide face masks for the pupils as they return to school. They've also provided water and some hand washing facilities. So I spoke to the director of the school, Mr. Chris Akuba.
The number of students we have as candidates are 76, out of which 71 students have reported as we speak. We have put in several protocols related to COVID-19. One of such is that we have constructed a place for the students to wash their hands, and 4 children can wash at the same time. The school has a resident nurse, and he takes their temperature with a temperature gun before they move into their classrooms. We are 76, so we have 25 in each class, 25 and then 26. The school has made available nose masks to every student. We are waiting for the president to make available the one he promised all basic schools. In fact, as we speak, everything has been put in place for academic work to begin. We have all teaching staff available who have started teaching strictly by the timetable that was issued.
Now, for the peoples of Great Victory, they didn't have much to complain about.
I feel safe, or I know that we feel safe in the environment because of the measures put in place. This time we have been distant, and we are observing the protocols. We sanitize our hands, we wash regularly. When we move out and we come back, we do something, and also we do not move to other seats. We stay at our seats.
Now, in a sharp contrast, however, at the Calbion Tindon Sub-Legal Basic School, which is located in the same area, what you realize is that just about one or two of the pupils in the class were wearing face masks.
We were believing that the government will provide us some face masks or nose masks, but when we came to school and we've seen that the government have not yet provided, and we are asking if the government can provide us the nose mask very quick.
We feel insecure. One of our teachers just came and told us that because we are not wearing the face mask, she will not teach.
There was a borehole in front of the school, which I was thinking the pupils would be using when it comes to washing their hands. But in my interaction with them, what they said was that the borehole had actually not been working effectively of late.
The borehole is for the community, but then the students are also using it, and as of now, it's not functioning well. Yes, when you are pumping it, you get to some time that the water will not be flowing, and for right now, it's not useful.
So, because of the challenge with the borehole, what they did actually was to get some 2 plastic buckets, which they filled with water, and then with an ablution container, and then some soap, they tried to wash their hands. That was just a sort of emergency measure that they came up with just to manage for the meantime. From the Upper East Regional Capital here in Bolgatanga, my name is Albert Sori, reporting for Joynews.
A situation of sharp divide or contrasting halves, and that's where we bring in Deputy Minister of Education in charge of the sector, really, and Professor Yao Edichum is joining us. Good evening to you. This is a reflection of our state, right? Even though something has been done about it, I know definitely you'll say. What really has been done then?
Hello?
Yeah, Professor Edichum. I'm saying that the story we just showed.
I'm not professor.
Okay.
I don't want the university professors to get on my case. But
well, in Ghana,
I'll just say I wish he had done a few other schools for us to really see what is going on. But it's unfortunate for a child to sit in a classroom today, COVID-19, without a nose mask. And unfortunately, he did not interview the headmaster or the district director. But this is something that I'm not happy about. And I'll make some quick calls right after this to the regional director of education to see what is going on. It's just unfortunate. I don't think it's something that any one of us is happy about.
Yeah.
That the children sit in the classroom without, I'd rather that they are not in school than they are in school without a nose mask. And I'm definitely disappointed, and I am going to get on top of it together with Ghana Education Service for us to immediately intervene and make sure we don't see these images.
And I'll mention your title right, Dr. Edichum. And predictably, yes, we would want to get you a picture or a story from another school, and then we'll get back and try and get into some greater discussion, because over 10,000 final year junior high school students of 92 schools in Kumasi, they've returned from the COVID-19 break to prepare for their examinations. We all do know that. And some headmasters apparently are also worried about the unavailability of PPEs, which they believe could lead to a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases. In this report by Love FM's Dana Sensu Mensah, he finds out how schools that are yet to take delivery of some PPEs are coping.
While some school authorities have received anti-COVID-19 sanitary materials, others say they are yet to get their supplies. The most challenging issue confronting teachers and students, perhaps, is how to get the classrooms tidy for occupation. Some students were seen doing the cleaning themselves. As Asokwa Municipal Director of Education, Ebenezer Oteng provides some answers.
For cleaning, sweeping around, we train the child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. Zoom Lion have done that bigger cleaning. And this one, because of the leaves falling, the rains and other things, they have little one to clean and get inside. At least when we are there with them at home, we ask them to do those little work. It's part of the training, so it's not bigger than them.
There are mixed reactions from students Love News interacted with on the resumption of school amid fears of rising COVID-19 cases. Aren't you scared? What is the feeling? Tell us.
Yeah, I'm scared. It's good. I'm even happy because when you are at home, you can't learn enough, but when you are at school, you can learn many things.
We've got a buckets. We have the liquid soap and then tissues, but we don't have the thermometers. Yesterday we went to the metro office to correct them the item, but that was the only item which was short, so we don't have it. But we are making arrangements to have it tomorrow morning. At least my church where I worship, we have some. So I'm going to see the pastor and then correct them. Because if you wait till the government brings it, it may be late.
Sure.
Yeah.
So without the thermometer guns, how is it affecting school lessons over here?
Yeah, we are disturbed, honestly. So we are making an effort. Tomorrow morning we have it.
How disturbed are you?
Well, somebody may have a bad day, some temperature high, and we don't know. So we are praying against anything like that. But hopefully tomorrow we shall borrow some from our churches and use. Yes.
Kumasi Mayor Oses Bench taught some schools and advised students to observe safety protocols and also encourage their parents to do the same.
Now you can only touch your eye, touch your nose after you've washed your hands. Please, be ambassadors. You go back to your house, educate your peers about the COVID rules.
Dr. Yawedichun, you have more calls to make.
Here, I saw everybody wearing face masks as compared to the other one that got me very disappointed. Here you see every student is wearing face mask, and the head teacher also explained that they have most of the things apart from the thermometer gun. So yes, we have work to do, but I believe this was the first day, and today things may have changed, and then we have tomorrow. So with every passing day, things are improving, but of course, where the children were without face masks, it was something that was very disappointing.
And Dr. Yawedichun, how come we often tend to find it difficult trying to relate with what we say and announce at the national level with what really goes to the ground, so to speak? There's always a certain disconnect.
You know, this was a major procurement challenge, opportunity, I can put it, to make sure our children were protected. Everything was coordinated through intersectorial committee headed by the senior minister to make sure that things worked out. I know and dispatches were made from Accra. Of course, you have distance issues, and it was heading Saturday, Friday. Vehicles were heading to across the country in various regions. When it gets to the regions, they go to the districts. I'm happy that most of the items have reached the schools, but I'm also not happy that every school doesn't have the full complement of items that the president described and the president assured. And as I pointed out, I'm sure the reporting was done on Monday, and we have today. We'll have to see what is going on, what went on today, and hopefully tomorrow, if you were to go around again, we may have seen all the issues resolved. But of course, we don't want the student to go even a day without the full complement of items that were promised by the president. But of course, you know, these were things that were being shipped to the various schools via transportation, and sometimes you can get disappointed. But I'm hoping that when your people go and check again tomorrow, we may not hear the same story.
We'll try and go and check. Perhaps we'll give you a follow period for tomorrow so that we'll go on Thursday. That'll be better. But ultimately, you get to find that as you leave Accra, Kumasi, and then you go towards the countryside or the hinterlands, then these supplies just don't get to reach in time, it looks like.
Definitely, as you rightly pointed out, I think we are learning something that will make us do a better job when all the children are going to school. And this is something that should not repeat itself, that children will sit in any classroom in this country under this circumstance without their nose mask.
Well, thank you, Dr. Yaw Duchum. You're always awesome with your responses, and thank you for responding to us this evening. But that's Dr. Yaw Duchum, Deputy Minister for Education. But it's where we have to also focus on some transport-related issues, because commercial drivers in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis on the western region, they say social distancing has been enforced in vehicles, even though good on the health side is apparently making them poor. They have therefore decided to embark on a sit-down strike to register their displeasure to government. Now, the government had insisted on social distancing in vehicles, a move just to stop the spread of coronavirus. But the drivers also insist with reduced number of passengers, they are still compelled to charge the same old fares, making it difficult for them to break even at the end of the day.
Commercial drivers in Sekondi Takoradi are upset. Coronavirus has necessitated the practice of social distancing to halt the spread of the virus. So now, they have been compelled by government to carry few passengers for the same old fare. This has dealt a blow to their finances. Protesting this development, they have resorted to a sit-down strike.
Since the pandemic, we are running out of loss. We've got to conclusion that the government is not with the drivers. It's like they give to you with the left hand and take it with the right hand, which is very unfair to the drivers. Now, look at the drivers, they are risking so much. More like the front line health workers, they are risking so much. And what we want the government to do is that with the normal passenger, which is the passengers, we want to take the trip, and then with the nose mask wearing as a must for everybody before you can enter into our vehicles, or else they should allow us to increase the fare so that we can mitigate, we can meet ourselves in halfway, because the fuel has been increased, the insurance and everything we are paying the same, car pass, everything we are paying the same thing. So we can't continue and then nothing comes.
From displeasure, they start issuing threats.
Since we started this COVID-19 pandemic, anytime the president comes to the radio or the television, he doesn't talk about the drivers concerning about our removing of passengers from our vehicle. Now the price of fuel is going up. We are taking the old fare. So we want the president to do something. If not, we are running to lose. From here to Accra, you reach Accra, it remains on your hand. 140 Ghana cedis. He said, if you can't cope with park your car. That's not fair. We voted them to power. We have voted for MPP for I myself. I voted for MPP for 20 good years. Nothing from the party to me. Ask Joe Gatti. He's my MP. I've tried a lot before I get facility to strike. Is just a sit-down strike for them to know that we are in big problem. The problem is that we are running to lose. So we want them to allow us either to carry the 3 passengers, or you should carry the 2 passengers and increase the fare. That's the only thing we want.
When we refused to work because the country was recording cases, the police pleaded with us to work, but we still refused them. They went as far as telling us that if we don't work, we will be hungry. It is painful that an officer could say this to drivers. We want the president to know that if he does not do what we want, our votes will talk on December 7.
An engagement with the police on the matter turned to a hooting affair.
And we have to bring you the last round of business, and Sandra is again ready. Sandra, some interesting stories.
Yes, Roland, I have some good news for you.
Right. Waiting. Have they reduced the bank rates?
Not yet. Wait for this good news.
Okay.
Let's do business. Roland, wait for the good news, and it's coming up in business. We are just few hours away from a special edition of the masterclass dubbed Entrepreneurial Rebound. This is a program by Joy Business where we are bringing together experts to help entrepreneurs navigate the COVID-19 storm. One of our resource persons, customer service consultant Yvonne Owi McCarthy, has been giving us a gist of what to expect tomorrow. She's been speaking to Darryl Kwao on Business Live.
Now, you can't just jump into giving out freebies. People want to now see you as a service provider or as an organization that cares. So you need to find out, first of all, what tickles my customer. What does my customer want? A lot of us do not even engage with our customers. We've never carried out surveys to find out what they want. We don't even know what they anticipate in the next quarter or the next 6 months. Those are the things we need to be doing. Now, once we've done that, engaged with them and understand exactly what they want, then we can give them what they're looking for. It would be premature to just do free giveaways and all the other stuff that I see a lot of people trying to do. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I think you need to be a bit more intentional in trying to put a package together for the people that you call your customers. So it's time now to engage your customers, find out what they want, and then give them what they want.
I do like free giveaways. I wouldn't mind, Yvonne.
So I'm sure your people are listening, those who provide them.
Anyway, one more thing. I mean, as a business owner, I'm still dealing with my personal frustrations with the virus. I even have family members who are having to deal with the situation. And then I'm supposed to be nice and put away my personal frustrations, be nice, smile to a customer. How do I handle that? How do I handle my personal frustrations at the same time and ensure that my customer is happy?
I think if you remember the day you had a dream to actually set this business up, just go back to the excitement you had and the kind of experience you wanted to create for your customers. Now, once you can go back to that, try and relive it. The problem now is we're all going through this, but nobody's going to cut you any slack as a business owner. We expect you to continue and even now improve the way in which you offer your service. So nobody, and I wouldn't take the excuse that, we're all going through COVID. Yes, but I'll be still giving you your money, right?
Let me remind you once again that the special edition of Masterclass takes place tomorrow, Wednesday, July 1 on Joy 99.7 FM, and all our guests on our social media platforms. Our guests are John Amma, Business Development Consultant, Yvonne Owi McCarthy, we just spoke to, Customer Service Consultant, Charles Mensah, Financial Consultant, William Demetia, Tax Consultant, Samuel Buafo, Human Resource Consultant, and Derijin Dazi, Technology Consultant. So please take note of this and make a date tomorrow. It's 1 p.m. on Joy 99.7 FM, and you don't have to miss that one. Away from that, disbursement of the $9 million World Bank tourism grant for SMEs in the tourism sector is expected to begin next month. 100 businesses are expected to benefit from the scheme launched together with the Tourism Ministry to strengthen the sector hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Various stakeholders are being engaged actually on the disbursement process, and Executive Secretary of the Ghana Tourism Federation, Emmanuel Frimpong, joins me via Zoom now for more. Thanks so much for your time this evening, sir. Hello, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right. So you've been engaging.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sure. So you've been engaging stakeholders and also the Tourism Ministry. What have they been telling you with this disbursement process?
Yes, a very good evening to your cherished viewers and those who are listening across the globe. As you rightly said, we've been engaging the Tourism Ministry and then the fund managers. Last week, the Ghana Tourism Development Project grant scheme was launched. And afterwards, we realized that there were a number of issues that needed clarification. So we requested for a meeting, a Zoom meeting today, which we had with the fund managers and the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. At the meeting, a few things came up. One of them is the fact that we need a lot more of engagement and collaboration with the ministry and the fund managers. The other thing that also came up is the fact that they were rather looking at individuals that have ideas that will propel the tourism industry. But what we...
Hello, Emmanuel, do I still have you there? Do we have Emmanuel? Well, Emmanuel, looks like I've lost Emmanuel, but we'll try and work the lines to get him back on. We are talking about the disbursement of some money for the tourism sector, and then it's $9 million World Bank support for SMEs, and then it's to pushing them against the COVID-19 pandemic. And I have been engaging Executive Secretary of the Ghana Tourism Federation, Emmanuel Fremont. Grace, I have you back. Emmanuel, can you hear me? You were making a submission before we lost it.
Yes, I can hear you, yes.
Right, go ahead, please.
So, yes, okay. So I was saying that the idea of the fund is three categories. One for site development, the other one for business, businesses, and then individuals. So we realized that most of the people that are supposed to benefit from the business would not qualify. If you look at our sector, most of them are in the informal sector. And then you look at the individuals, the requirement is also stringent. Most of them will not qualify. So what we all came to is the fact that we need to engage and look at the criteria once again so that we can get a lot more people benefiting from this grant.
So do I take it that those concerns that you had earlier has been resolved? That settles it?
It's not resolved. We put it before them. We are hoping to engage them as early as possible. Don't forget the date for expression of interest is elapses on the 8th of July. So we've also appealed to them for an extension of that because a lot of people did not even understand the whole scheme, what it was about. As a matter of fact, even as a federation, what we applied for will be disqualified if they were to go by what they told us today. So we need a lot more of engagement so that we will not cut people off.
So we know some 100 businesses will qualify for this support. Who qualifies? What's the criteria for qualification for this fund?
Well, we have three categories. One is for site development. For that one is straightforward. If you have a site and you want to develop the site, you apply and then they'll look at what you are going to use the fund for. And then if you go through it, you are accepted. And then the second one is for businesses. Businesses, you need to register with Ghana Tourism Authority. You need to be recognized by an association.
Oops, looks like we've lost him once again, but we'll try and get him back to just wrap up for us. And he was making an important point about who qualifies for the support from the World Bank, and before we lost him there, but we will still try and get him back, Emmanuel, on the line to speak to us on who qualifies. I'm sure businesses will want to know how they can apply and who qualifies for it. But while we wait for him, let's hit the commodity market and see how trading fared, and then we'll come back to speak to Emmanuel.
You could have a heart attack and die.
your commodity news updates. Unfortunately, we are unable to connect back to Emmanuel Frimpong for more, but certainly we'll revisit this topic. And I know businesses will want to know how they can get their fair share of this money from the World Bank. But that's how we wrap up for the second part and for business on Prime News for today. My name is Sandra Estina. I'm going to log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. I've been anchoring from home. Over to you in the studios, Roland.
Well, Sandra, thank you. Try and have a good sleep tonight, okay? I know you don't like sleeping. You're always texting 1 a.m. Stop it, all right?
We'll talk behind the scenes. Thanks so much for having me, Roland.
Macho.
You know, I do international business now. You know that.
I know, right? You're a businesswoman.
No, I have to communicate with my husband, you know.
Yeah, who lives in the USA. It's okay. Don't tell us that we're local. Bye-bye. Well, so that'll be for business. Sandra, we have to thank you for all the updates you've given us for this evening. We wish you well. We'll see you same time tomorrow. But look, we have to bring you more. We're now taking a break. We'll be right back. Well, last round up of the sports activities, and I'll just monitoring on break the match taking place in England, Manchester United cruising away at Cheapside. Oracle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a good half for Manchester United, and they continue in the second half, taking that 3-goal lead. And things certainly seem to be going very well for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his men. But let's come back to Africa. And in the first segment, we did do some analysis on the meeting that took place today in Ghana. That's the Ghana FA Executive Council deciding that the league would be cancelled. So all football activities have been cancelled for the 2019-20 season. But even beyond Ghana and in Africa, the CAF Executive Committee as well held a meeting today on Tuesday earlier and via a video conference to discuss the future of competitions and other related issues following the COVID-19 pandemic. And the committee decided as follows. In terms of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, after consultation with stakeholders and taking into consideration the current global situation, the tournament has been rescheduled for January 2020. The date for the final tournament and the remaining matches of the qualifiers would be communicated in due course. For the 2020 CHAN, the final tournament has been postponed to January 2021. And for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, due to the challenging conditions, the 2020 edition of the tournament has been cancelled as well. From international teams to the interclass competitions and the Total CAF Champions Leagues and the Total CAF Confederation Cup will resume in September with the final 4 format. Semi-final matches would now be played in a single match instead of 2 legs. Meanwhile, the CAF Women's Champions League will now be launched in 2021. The format and other details will also be communicated in due course. And the last one is the 2020 CAF Awards have also been cancelled, meaning that Sadio Mane of Senegal would keep that CAF African Player of the Year award at least for an extra year. A big day, not just in Ghana, as the Ghana Premier League has been cancelled, but in Africa as well. Remember the Black Stars and CK Akono. This news perhaps does bring some time to CK Akono with this Black Stars team. If things did remain the same and the tournament came off in 2021, it would mean that CK had just about 10 months or so with this squad to be able to fight for that title. But now that as we move to 2022, Ghana has an extra year to prepare for that tournament as well. But before I do go, there's a huge day in the La Liga title race as well. Barcelona are facing Atletico Madrid, knowing that they have to win at home. It's currently 1-1. A Diego Costa own goal and a Saul penalty. Both sides are cancelling each other out. In the Premier League, as you did rightly state, Manchester United are cruising to a 3-0 victory. In Serie A, Lazio won their game by 2-1, meaning that they are now 2 points behind Juventus, who are currently drawing with Genoa. But that wraps it up for the sports segment here. My name is Rick Wampofo, and do remember to always stay safe.
Well, Roku, thank you very much for that update, but that'll be it for you also. But we have more here. We'll try and wrap up with some few stories before now. I tell you, we have to wrap up. But before we go, we can leave without this one, because the Asokori Mampo Municipal Chief Executive, Ali Duseidu, says he will hold the Asawasi Member of Parliament, Muntaka Mubarak, responsible for any disruption of the voter registration exercise in the area. Now, it follows a warning by the MP of fierce resistance to alleged grand scheme by the governing MPP to bus non-residents into the constituency Asawasi to register. Nana Sensu Mensah has more.
Asawasi constituency parliamentary seat remains the only one the governing MPP has never annexed in its stronghold Ashanti its creation in 2004. Constituencies like New Dibiase, Ejura Sechedumase, Ahafwano North and Sechirafram Plains, considered NDC backyard, have changed hands between the two political parties. Currently holding 44 out of the 47 constituencies of the region, the NPP has declared what it terms 47-47, which means it is determined to snatch all 3 seats occupied by the NDC in the region. No wonder allegations of manipulation have started flying. Incumbent MP Muntaka Mubarak claims people are being buzzed from outside to register in Asawasi.
Clearly, you see that they are doing this to enhance cross-boundary activity. For us, we have a simple message. This is our territory. We will do everything to protect it.
He also accuses the EC of creating what he describes as ambiguous registration centers on the periphery of the constituency to aid the MPP agenda.
We believe that they should stick to the CI and allow the police station that have been created. If they want to create more police stations, the law allows them to create more police stations. But to create this ambiguous station that anybody from all the centers will be able to go there, how are you going to even challenge? Because you say
MPP parliamentary aspirant for Asawasi, who is also MC for Asokori Mampong, is counter-accusing the minority chief whip of attempt to disrupt the registration exercise. He says he will hold the MP liable if anything goes wrong in the registration.
Chairperson, you don't pull nerves, you don't say things, warmongering, expressing your own anger with such a sabotage, saying that whoever is coming from his house to come and register to bid farewell to his family before he gets here. It means that we will hold you responsible in case of any hurt. If anybody gets hurt, we shall hold him responsible, because at the end of the day, we want to have free, fair, and trouble-free registration and election. It doesn't matter where someone comes from. I don't care. It's about Ghanaians.
Meanwhile, confusion nearly broke out over one of the newly created polling stations in the constituency. Alhaji Muntaka expressed outrage over the sighting of the Adom Drinking Sports Registration Center, which he claimed is near the residence of the constituency chairman of the ruling NPP.
Anyway, and this one, you can see is very clear. You can't place a polling station in somebody's residence. That's a private property. I mean, he has rooms. What if somebody comes with suspicion that he has packed people in the room? How can we go and say somebody to open his private house for you to look? And we are saying that, look, there's a school here. Let's locate the polling station. It's a new polling station. By law, you are supposed to notify the political party 21 days before the start of the session. That has not been done.
New voters registration exercise and its accompanying difficulties and the mixed reaction so far. It's the first day of our coverage. I hope that you did get great insight into what we found out, not only on the ground, but also what the other observer groups and even the Ghana Medical Association have been saying. But look, we have more discussions because Evans Mensah is going to host that next on PM Express, and that's where all matters come to a head. But tomorrow we continue with the coverage on day 2. That's it for Prime. Please get interactive. We have Facebook, Joynews on TV. We have a Twitter handle at Joynews on TV. You can also watch us live through Joynews TV, which is our official YouTube channel. And don't forget, the best website for news is myjournline.com. Bye-bye.